Hey guys, now, if you see on my list, I gave my thoughts on Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. So now, I'm going to give my thoughts on Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. What can I say about this one? As I stated in my Episode 1 video, I love all 6 movies. So that does mean I like this, that does mean this one too. Jesus Christ, is this one dull! Oh. I mean, like, the dialogue is just so bland and so boring and just like outright stupid lines. Jesus Christ! I mean, like, when this movie was released in 2002, I didn't get to see it in the cinema. The one and only time when it looks like I was able to go and see it at the cinema, my dad told me no, because apparently it started at midnight. So either he was talking truth, or he was just talking bollocks. So the only time when I was able to see this movie is on this very DVD case. I got this as a present. Can't remember if this was a birthday or a Christmas present. But I was excited in seeing it as a young 12-year-old kid. Watched it, loved it. But as I get older, I do see quite a lot of problems with it. But as I said, the dialogue is just so bland and so boring. It's just, not only is it bland and boring dialogue, it's just way too much. Way too much for my liking. Now, I will say the things I do love about the movie. Ewan McGregor reprises his role as Obi-Wan Kenobi. Natalie Portman as Padme Amidala. She's no longer queen, she's senator. Because her 2 terms as queen were up. And the new queen requested her to stay on as senator. And the role of Anakin Skywalker has been portrayed by Hayden Christensen. And between episodes 1 and 2, 10 years have now passed. The film starts off with Padme's ship descending into Coruscant. And there's an attack on her ship. But it turns out it was a decoy. Her decoy died. Padme was flying one of the Naboo starfighters to protect the ship. And she demands to know who was the one who tried to assassinate her. She believes it was Count Dooku, who was a Jedi. But Master Windu straight away threw that out of the window by stating because he was once a Jedi, it's not in his character to assassinate anybody. So Chancellor Palpatine has requested that Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker to protect Padme. So when the first scene of Obi-Wan and Anakin together, Anakin is straightening up his robe because it's been 10 years since he last saw Padme. And I just love how it starts with Obi-Wan and Anakin. Obi-Wan just goes, "You seem a little on edge." Not at all. Felt you this tense since we fell into that nest of Gundarks. Just trying to make a little joke in it. But I do like that bit. Anakin is very nervous about seeing Padme for the first time in 10 years. As a 19, 20-year-old guy, he's acting like he's acting like a teenage boy with a raging boner. As soon as he sees Padme again after 10 years, he just wants to rip those clothes off and just bang her. You can just see he wants to do that. I mean, like, it's just like quite cringeworthy seeing that. I mean, like, yeah, we know he's in love with her, but it just comes off really creepy in the movie when it comes to him and Padme alone. And there's tension between Obi-Wan and Anakin through the movie. Like, Obi-Wan says to Padme that they are there to protect her, not to start an investigation. And Anakin just straight away just goes, "We will find out who's trying to kill you, Padme. I promise you." And then there's this friction between them. I mean, like, because we know in Episode 1 that Obi-Wan did not want Anakin to be trained as a Jedi because he's dangerous. He was dangerous, as he said. But he took Anakin on as his Padawan learner at the request of his old master Qui-Gon. So, with this friction, it's just, and as I said, that goes through the movie. And they bicker here and there. And like, because like when you watch Episode 4, and Obi-Wan says to Luke that he and Anakin were good friends, but you don't see that in Episode 2. You just see what's quite the opposite. You see a lot of friction. So Zam, who's an assassin. I must apologise for my impediment, by the way. She was hired by bounty hunter Jango Fett to assassinate Padme. So he hands her this tube, which was like very poisonous CGI centipedes or whatever. And she sticks him inside the droid, and the droid goes off to Padme's place. So Jango was hired, and who he hires Zam, and Zam gets a droid. So an assassin's not very good, because if they're just palming the work off to someone or something else to do. So the droid cuts a hole in Padme's window and drops the creatures into her room. R2 is in Padme's room to sense if anything's happened, but he's like shut himself down, like as if he's sleeping. Although droids don't sleep, but I like that. It's just like, what's that? All right, back to sleep for me. But Anakin senses that something's not right, and he and Obi-Wan run to Padme's room. Obi-Wan spots the droid, jumps out of the window, and he's hanging on. Anakin picks up a speeder, open cockpit, and chases after Obi-Wan. Finds him, and then jumps out of the speeder himself after giving chase to Zam. He jumps out of the speeder and coincidentally catches Zam's speeder. Chases her through the streets into a club. And she's about to kill Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan cuts her hand off. She then gets killed by Jango Fett. Obi-Wan picks out a dart from her neck and wants to know where it came from. He finds out that it's from a planet called Kamino. But he looks in the Jedi archives, but the planet wasn't there. So someone erased those files. Because Yoda explained that to Obi-Wan. So Yoda says he's going to go and meditate on it. So with Obi-Wan going off to Kamino to find out who it was who killed Zam. When he arrived, he's greeted as if he was expected to be there, as a Jedi was expected to be there, because the Kaminoans have created a clone army at the request of Master Cypher-Dyas. And Obi-Wan has absolutely no idea what the hell they're talking about. So he just goes along with it as if he does know, because the Prime Minister of Kamino says to him, "Would you like to expect their progress?" And everyone's just like, "That's why I'm here." So everyone is impressed with what the Kaminoans have done. And they say that they are cloned from a bounty hunter called Jango Fett, which makes Obi-Wan curious and wants to go and meet him. So when we do meet Jango Fett, have a quick conversation about the clone army, and Obi-Wan just says he's looking forward to seeing them in action. He leaves, has a quick glance back at Jango because he knows there's something not right. Because he has a feeling that Jango Fett is the person responsible for the assassination of Padme. So he contacts Yoda and Mace Windu in the Jedi Temple. So they say to Obi-Wan to bring him back. So Obi-Wan tracks down Jango, still on Kamino, and then they get into a bit of a fight. And I do like this scene when it comes to the Obi-Wan versus Jango. Although you see a couple of explosions that happen right in front of Obi-Wan, but you don't see any scars, you don't see any cuts. It's amazing that he doesn't get cut or hurt by those explosions. A missile explosion right there in front of him, and he's fine. So after when Jango escapes from Obi-Wan, he throws a tracking device on the hull of the ship, and there's now starts to track Jango through space. While Anakin has been ordered by the Jedi Council to protect Padme. So they go to Naboo, which Padme's not happy about doing. She worked a year on a particular assignment and wants to be there. What the fate of what the decision will be, but she has to go into hiding for protection. And this is another sign of like Anakin is just like a whining little brat. It's like he praises Obi-Wan by saying that he's wise as Master Yoda and powerful as Master Windu, and that he's grateful to be his apprentice. And then he just turns it around just by going to saying that in some ways, a lot of ways, I'm really ahead of him. I'm ready for the trials, but he feels that I'm too unpredictable. He won't let me move on. He's overly critical. He never listens. He doesn't understand. It's not fair. It's just like he was just praising Obi-Wan as being his mentor, and then he just turns it around, just acting like a little brat, just like saying that I'm ready to do the trials. It's like no, it's like he throws a tantrum. And then he gets all creepy again with Padme. Because he just starts to look at her in a certain way, which makes her feel uncomfortable. She walks away and he just gives her this creepy look, just like this. It's like, dude, why? That's just... no. But while on Naboo, she's one of the worst things. One of the worst lines in this movie was that Anakin says, "I hate sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere." And then once again, he gets creepy. He goes, "Not everything here is so soft and smooth," and he's stroking Padme's back. It's like. Then those two kiss. I was like, don't get me wrong. I was like, Hayden Christensen, he's a good-looking guy. Padme, she's beautiful. She's really sexy, but with lines like that. I mean, if any guy in reality said those kinds of lines and did what Anakin did with Padme, the woman will knock his head off. and just be an outright creep. So Padme pulls away from the kiss and saying that they shouldn't have done that. Although Anakin says he's sorry, but inside his head he's just like, yeah, that's step one. That's step one. Then they have dinner with a CGI pair. And then after that scene, they're sitting in a nice room with a fireplace, and they're just talking about things, just like saying that Anakin is haunted by the kiss that Padme should never have given him. It's just like, she gave you. You're the one who lent in, man. In less than 24 hours, the boats will be on their way to the winter fishing. Oh God. In a way that Padme shows that she does have feelings for Anakin. It's because she says, you're studying to become a Jedi, I'm a senator. If you follow your thoughts through to conclusion, it will take us to a place we cannot go, regardless of the way that we feel about each other. And Anakin just gets sort of excited. It's like, so you do feel something. Just this dialogue is just so cringeworthy. It's just like, and I could just once again with another stupid line. It's just like, I wish I could just wish away my feelings, but I can't. Then I can suggest that they get together, but they keep it a secret. But Padme says no, because then they'd be living a lie, and they couldn't do that. And she couldn't do that. So that night, Anakin has a nightmare about his mum, because for 10 years, as it suggests that Anakin doesn't sleep well anymore, because he dreams about his mum, Shmi, a lot. Because before everything started, one night that whilst on Coruscant at Padme's home, Obi-Wan just says to Anakin, "You look tired. I don't sleep well anymore because of your mother. I don't know why I keep dreaming about her. Dreams pass in time." And then Anakin just he says he would rather dream about Padme, because being around her is intoxicating. So the next morning, he's meditating, and then says to Padme that even though they're disobeying orders from the council to protect Padme, he says that he has to go back to Tatooine. He has to go back home to try to find his mum, because until he finds her, he's not going to stop being scared and worried about her. He says he doesn't have a choice. So the pair of them go to Tatooine, head to Mos Eisley, where we see Watto. He makes an appearance, which is nice to see. Whether he's got a new shop or something, or he's just really downsized, because it's just like a cameo appearance with Watto. Because Anakin wants to know from Watto, where is Shmi? But Watto says that he sold her to a moisture farmer named Lars, who then Klieg Lars married Shmi. So Anakin wants to know their location, where they live. So they head there. And then we see 3PO. He's now got coverings. It's not his gold coverings, it's just like a very basic grey. It's just like basic grey coverings with a little bit of rust. And explaining to Owen, to Anakin, like, Klieg's son Owen and Beru, but are living at the place where they live in Episode 4 with Luke. So we meet Klieg Lars, who then explains to Anakin what has happened to Shmi. That 30 men went out to find Shmi, who was taken by Sand People, the Tusken Raiders. But only four came back, and Klieg has lost his legs. So Anakin is just like, fuck it, I don't care what you say, I'm going to go and find her. So he tells Padme to stay with the to stay where they are, so she'll be safe. And then Anakin goes on a journey to find his mum. Finds Jawas, who I'm guessing tell Anakin where the Tusken Raiders are living. So when Anakin gets to the Sand People's place, he uses lightsaber to cut a hole in one of the huts and finds Shmi. And she's all tied up and she's all weak and she's like bleeding and stuff. So she's. It looks like Anakin's gonna get Shmi out, but she dies in his arms. But you can see that. But I do like this scene because it's powerful for me. That is because Anakin, just for so many years, he's missed his mum. He's missed her so much, and that he just wanted to be with her again as well. Because in episode 1, he wanted Shmi to come along with him when Qui-Gon freed him as a boy, but couldn't happen. So Shmi just like saying how handsome Anakin looks, and he kisses her hand, and she tries to say that she loves him, but she then dies. Which brings out the first sign of the dark side in Anakin, because he just goes crazy and just kills all the Sand People, because he brings Shmi's body back to the Lars' home. Then they have a funeral. Anakin's just isolated himself, and he's just so angry. He's just like, I killed them. I killed them all. They're dead. Every single one of them. And not just the men, but the women. And the children too. They're like animals. And I slaughtered them like animals. I hate them! He just breaks down, but he also blames Obi-Wan for it. I'm just like, why are you blaming Obi-Wan? I mean, yeah, you're emotionally, you're broken because your mum has died. But you can't blame Obi-Wan for it. You just blame the Sand People for taking her. And he just breaks down. So then when they have the funeral for Shmi, R2, who was on Padme's ship, comes out and says that there's a message for Anakin from Obi-Wan, who was followed Jango Fett onto the planet called Geonosis. But Obi-Wan has been captured and is now being held captive by Count Dooku. He tries to get Obi-Wan to join him by saying that the Dark Lord of the Sith is in power But Obi-Wan says, no, that's not possible. The Jedi will be aware of it. But Dooku says the dark side has clouded their vision, which is true, because it does, because the dark side does that to the Jedi. So we hear the truth in episode 2. Obviously, you know, whoever hasn't seen the original trilogy doesn't know who the hell that Dooku's talking about. And what happens in the Senate, it's saying that Dooku learned the truth of what happened in the Senate. And it shows, and it reveals, and it just says that Qui-Gon was actually Dooku's apprentice. And saying that if Qui-Gon was still alive, that Qui-Gon would join Dooku. Everyone was just like, Qui-Gon Jinn would never join you. And Dooku just comes out and says, don't be so sure, my young Jedi. You forget that he was once my apprentice, just as you were once his. So when Obi-Wan refuses to join Dooku, he then says it may be difficult to secure his release. So now that Padme and Anakin are on their way to Geonosis to find Obi-Wan, although that Mace Windu told Anakin to stay put wherever he was, that being on Tatooine, but Padme was just like, if you plan to protect me, you're just gonna have to come along. So when they get to Geonosis, the Geonosians attack. Anakin is, you know, just killing them to protect himself and Padme. And a good scene on conveyor belts with Padme just dodging in and out of the mechanics. Anakin gets knocked down by a mechanical arm and then gets his arm trapped. And then his lightsaber handle gets cut in half. And then they both get captured. And they and now into another cringeworthy scene.
An electrician has been alerted and boards the vessel.
When Anakin says to Padme, don't be afraid, and she's just like, I'm not afraid to die. I've died at each moment ever since you came back into my life. And it's just like, I truly, deeply love you. It's just like, jeez, that's bad, that's bad. And then they get taken to be executed, where Obi-Wan is. Another funny line which I like between the pair of them. I was beginning to wonder if you got my message. I retransmitted it just as you requested, Master. Then we decided to come and rescue you. Good job. And then one cool scene when they are being attacked by the creatures to kill them. Padme just gets scratched on the back and rips her shirt. I think it's just one way to show off her sex appeal, you know, to show her belly because she's got a good body. And then Mace Windu turns up, and Count Dooku says that they're outnumbered. And then you see all the Jedi on Geonosis in the crowd activating their lightsabers. Then a war breaks out in the arena. All the Jedi and battle droids, super battle droids, destroyers, and the Jedi are getting massacred. And then Yoda shows up with the clone troopers, who don't have blasters. They have basically what I just call them cannons, because they just blow the droids away. And it's just absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. This is when I really start to love the movie, when the war begins. Properly begins. So while they're now in pursuit of Dooku, Padme gets knocked out of the ship. Anakin yells at the pilot to put the ship down. There's like, everyone's just like, Anakin, don't let your personal feelings get in the way. Anakin's just like, I can't leave him. Everyone just comes like, come to your senses. What do you think Padme will do if she's in your position? She would do her duty. So when they reach the hangar where Dooku's ship is, a very short lightsaber duel happens between Obi-Wan with Dooku, then Anakin and Dooku, because Anakin just starts running towards Dooku, and he just gets electrocuted with Dooku's Force lightning, and Obi-Wan is just overpowered by Dooku, and then when it looks like that Dooku's about to kill Obi-Wan, Anakin gets himself together. Then they have a nice quick battle, and then Dooku completely overpowers Anakin by cutting his arm off, and then Yoda comes in. Something that I never thought I'd ever see. Yoda in a lightsaber duel. But this is one thing that's also criticised by people, that Yoda is so powerful and so wise with the Force that he doesn't need a lightsaber. But it's a great duel. I enjoyed watching it, seeing Yoda doing all those flips and stuff, despite being hundreds of years old. Dooku escapes. Then back on Coruscant, Windu asks Obi-Wan, "Where's Anakin?" Obi-Wan says that Anakin's escorting Senator Amidala home. And the Clone War has begun. And one awesome scene that I love about this movie is that you see Palpatine, he's looking over, you see the clone troops, you see their ships and they're off to war. And you hear it's in the Imperial March. I just think that's great. And the last scene in the movie is Anakin and Padme getting married. Now, it's very romantic. I like that scene. They get married because they're not talking. They're not giving cringeworthy lines. So that's what I like about this scene. So I love the movie, but out of 1 to 6, I have seen episode 7. But I will give my thoughts on episode 7 when I get the DVD, when it gets released. So far, there's no release date for episode 7. So until then, I'll give my thoughts from going up to episode 6. So between 1 to 6, episode 2, as I said at the start of this video, is just dull. It's dull compared. Now, I would not recommend this, really, to people unless they are big fans of Star Wars. So yeah, I give it 1 thumb up. 1 thumb. So and I'll give my episode 3 thoughts soon, and I'll see you guys around. Take care of yourself.